Inception is one of the phenomenal works released in 2010, starring a number of top actors and actresses, such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Cillian Murphy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, Caine Watanabe, and Michael Caine. Had caused debate among the audience, who questioned the ending of the film, which was full of ambiguity. The surprising fact was that even the actors who played were actually confused about the ending of Inception's story. Inception is a surrealist film that belongs to the science fiction genre, which tells about the work of a spy and thief named Dom, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Unlike common thieves who steal objects or jewelry, Dom's character works to find dream ideas or secrets that lie in the target's subconscious when the target is in a dream state. This is like a very cool job. Indeed, Dom's name became famous in the world of spies because of his ability to manipulate minds. But at the same time, Dom was also a fugitive for the death of his wife Mal, who committed suicide after practicing exploring the subconscious and having difficulty distinguishing between dream and reality. As a result of his status as a fugitive, Dom had to be separated from his 2 children, who were then cared for by his father, Professor Stephen Miles. Dom continues to work as a spy and manipulator until he finally gets an attractive offer from his business partner, Sito, played by Caine Watanabe, who at that time wants to take advantage of Dom's ability to manipulate other people's minds. This offer is a great chance to improve Dom's fortunes, not wanting to miss the opportunity. Of course, Dom accepted this offer, even though it was different from the work he had done before. Sato asks Dom and his team to manipulate Robert Visa's thinking, played by Cillian Murphy. Sato wants to instill another idea in Robert's subconscious as the sole heir to his father's wealth, which is a conglomerate of energy companies. Sato asks Dom to change his mind so that after Robert's father dies, Robert can no longer control half of the world of his company that competes with Sato's company. In this film about exploring and manipulating the subconscious, we will find out that some of the actors have a totem or marker that can help them distinguish between dreams and reality. But among the totems, the most iconic and quite a lot highlighted is Dom Totem, which is a spinning top. The spinning top will continue to move if Dom is in a dream, but will immediately stop according to the law of gravity if Dom is in reality. At the end of the film, we will see that Dom is finally able to go home and meet his children. But we'll also see that Dom's spinning top doesn't stop spinning until the image cuts out and the screen goes black and the credits scan starts to appear. Yes, the film ends with a very hanging ending. Maybe there are still those who are fixated and question the ending. Is Dom still in his dream, or has he returned to reality and is happy after completing the mission? When viewed from this series of films, I think that Dom has returned to reality after going through the lowest layer of his subconscious, or what Dom calls limbo. This is not just an unfounded conjecture. If you look at the evidence and theories in this film, we can actually determine whether Dom is still in a dream or not. Since the first minute of the film, the audience will immediately know that the small team led by Dom has each totem in the form of a small object that will look different in their eyes. Arthur uses dice, Ariane uses golden chess points, and Imes use the chip. The 3 totems will look unique when they are in reality, but will look ordinary once they enter the subconscious. Do totem is different. He will actually look special when he is in a dream. Plus, I suspect that Dom's totem is actually quite problematic, because if he is in someone else's dream, then the spinning top will look normal. That means if Dom was in someone else's dream, he would never notice. Even if at the end of the film we see the spinning top stop, it can't be a conclusion that Dom is no longer in the dream, because he could be in someone else's dream. But if we remember Arthur's words to Ariana, that the totem should not be used or touched by someone who is not the original owner, because it can have an impact on the strength of the totem. Then we can also remember that the totem used by Dom is actually not really his. My suspicion is that the spinning top still belongs to Mal, namely Dom's late wife, while Dom has another totem that was never told to anyone. It was never explained what is the effect of taking the totem from someone who has died, or can someone else's totem function properly if used by a different person? These questions can be the strongest suspicion to find out the actual ending of the film from inception. There is a theory that says that Dom's totem is a wedding ring on the ring finger of his left hand. If you look closely, Dom always uses a ring when he is in his subconscious, but when he returns to reality, the ring is never seen. Although there is no theory that says that totems can only appear and be the difference in dreams, but this clearly shows the difference to Dom when he is in reality or in his dreams. This totem in the form of a wedding ring is like a symbolism that Dom has not forgotten Mal, and he is still close to her in dreams. But not in reality, because the mole actually died. At the end of the film, we really can't see clearly Dom's ring finger on his left hand, whether he's wearing a ring or not. But if we had bothered to pay attention to the details in the last few minutes while Dom was at the airport, we would have noticed that Dom was not wearing his wedding ring, seen when at the immigration and security. Even if this theory cannot be tested for its validity, we can clearly understand that whether or not a ring is coiled on the ring finger of Dom's left hand can support assumptions, or can even be concrete evidence to distinguish whether Dom is in the real world or a dream. And if we look again at the last seconds of the film, the spinning top that was rotated by Dom on the dining table actually shows signs of wanting to fall and begins to wobble, which I believe can be supporting evidence that Dom is already in the real world. It's a bit unfortunate because Nolan immediately cuts and ends the film before we see whether the totem fell or not. Maybe that's what Nolan really wants to do to make his audience curious, to strengthen the evidence, and my assumption that Dom is in the real world when the movie ends is evidence of very different conditions in dream and reality. What Dom is going through in the dream, the movements and words of other people, and inanimate objects around Dom can be something that looks strange and out of place. For this reason, at the end of the film, we will see Dom paying attention to all the details of his house. He makes sure that nothing is strange like in a dream. Dom himself knows that people who are in a dream feel confused about the beginning of the events that are being lived, such as not knowing why suddenly they are in a coffee shop, a highway building, or a snowy mountain. Only when Dom regained consciousness on the plane did he not get confused and knew what was the purpose and reason for being there. And he indicated that he was in reality. In addition, the dream world also tends to be unstable and often experiences unexpected surprises, such as changes in weather or shocks of unknown origin, because the disturbance actually comes from reality. Plus, to prove that Dom is in reality is that he didn't meet Mal since he woke up on the plane. Even though if Dom is still in dreamland, Mal always bothers him as a form of subconscious imagination that he accidentally releases. Then Dom, who so far can only see his small children with his back to him, at the end of the film, we will see the faces of his two children who have grown bigger than what was in his dream. To reinforce the assumption that Dom is already in the real world is a direct question from one of the actors, namely Michael Caine, who plays Dom's father. As I said at the beginning of this video, even the actors in this film were actually confused about the ending of the film. The story felt ambiguous, so Michael Caine asked Nolan, the director, directly about the end of the film. Inception, was Dom in the real world or in his dream? This question was answered by Nolan by saying that any scene in which Michael Caine is shown is a scene when Dom is in the real world.